5 things I stopped doing to lose 40 pounds as one. Thing one is that I stopped eating 1,200 calories without prioritizing protein and strength. Because here's what nobody tells you as a petite woman: it's not about how much you eat, it's more about what you eat and how you train with those calories. When you're 4'10, 1,200 calories might actually be an appropriate budget for you in a calorie deficit. But I was wasting my calorie budget on low protein foods and only doing things like cardio and Pilates. I was losing weight, sure, but I was losing muscle and fat at the same time. And my metabolism always stayed low because I wasn't actually building anything. I hit my calorie goal, but be hungry all day, and my body looked soft. And yes, the scale went down, but my body still looked soft. So here's what changed everything. I kept my calories to that 12 to 1400 calories, but I made protein a priority, at least 100 grams a day, which meant that every meal has some sort of protein source involved in it, and typically 20 to 30 grams minimum. And I switched from cardio and Pilates to doing strength training 4 to 5 days per week. And building muscle increased my BMR, which meant that my body was burning calories at rest. The same calorie budget, but now the calorie budget was actually working for me and with my body. And this is ultimately how I lost 40 pounds, was actually while building muscle. My metabolism got higher because I had more muscle mass. I stayed full for longer because my calorie budget was more satisfying with the protein. And that's why my body completely transformed, not just smaller, but stronger and more defined. Which brings me to habit number 2. Thing number 2 is I stopped treating exercise like a hobby and I started treating it like training. And there's a huge difference between the two that nobody really talks about. For years, I was going to Zumba every single week, and it was fun, it was social, and it was moving my body, which is great. I just had no real goal. I was exercising, not training. And exercise is just movement. Training has specific goals, a structured plan, and progressive overload. I'd show up to Zumba, dance for an hour, go home, but there was no way for me to track what I was doing and if I was getting stronger or building muscle or anything like that, or actually making any sort of progress. My body didn't have a reason to adapt or change because I wasn't giving it any sort of consistent stimulus to adapt to. So I made a shift to training, and I started doing Caroline's workouts 4 to 5 days per week. And these aren't just random workouts, they're programs. They have structure, they have periodization, they have progressive overload, and recovery weeks. And then I went from I worked out today to I'm in week 3 of Epic, or I hit a new PR at deadlifts. I was tracking my weights, and my body finally had a reason to adapt because I was giving a consistent, progressive stimulus. And I wasn't just moving anymore, I was training with purpose. And honestly, that is what changed everything. If you're enjoying this video, would you do me a huge favor and give this video a thumbs up or hype it up? It lets YouTube know it's useful and helpful. If you did, thank you so much. Now, don't get me wrong. Hobbies are great. And if Zumba brings you joy and makes you feel happy, then absolutely you should keep doing it. But if you want your body to transform, then you need structure, progression, and consistency. That shift from exercising to training is what finally got me results. And now number 3 is something that I had to completely stop comparing, which is my 30-something-year-old self to my 20-something-year-old body. And this was honestly one of the hardest mental shifts that had to come because in my 20s, I could eat whatever I wanted. I could skip my workouts. I could pretty much do whatever I wanted and my body would just sort of bounce back. I had a quick metabolism, I didn't have a kid, and I had significantly less stress. Although you couldn't convince me that. In my 30s, that everything has changed now. My metabolism has slowed down mostly because I wasn't moving as much and my hormones had shifted. I had a kid and my body composition completely changed. And I was trying to force my 36-year-old body to look like it did in my 20s, and that was making me miserable. I was chasing this version of myself that just didn't exist anymore. And here's what nobody tells you is that's actually okay. Your body in your 30s isn't worse, or even in your 40s. It's just different and it needs a different approach. And so instead of trying to recreate the 20s body I had, I focused on being the strongest version of my 30-something-year-old body. I stopped chasing skinny and I started chasing strong. And I stopped trying to fit into old jeans and started celebrating what my body could do. Lifting heavier, running faster, keeping up with my kid. And you know what? My 36-year-old body is actually better than my 20-something-year-old body because it's stronger, it's more capable, and I actually take care of it now. And I have visible muscle definition I never had in my 20s. I can deadlift my own weight and more, which is way cooler than fitting into old jeans. Once I let go of my 20s body and embraced my 30s body, everything got easier because I stopped fighting against myself and I started working with the body that I had. Now, thing number 4 is about a toxic mindset that kept me stuck for years. I stopped the all or nothing perfectionism. And as a licensed therapist for more than 10 years at this point, I can tell you that mindset is quite literally the biggest thing that keeps women stuck in so many areas, and weight loss and healthy living is no exception. So here's what all or nothing looks like practically. You eat perfectly Monday through Thursday, and then you have pizza on Friday and think, well, I messed up. And so you binge all weekend and you start over Monday, or you miss one workout and your whole week is ruined. So you skip the rest of your workouts. And this is perfectionism disguised as discipline. And it's exhausting. You're either all in or you're all out. And then there's no middle ground. And quite frankly, that's just not sustainable. Real life is messy. Real life is eating pizza and still hitting your workout on Saturday morning. Real life is missing a workout and just picking back up the next day without drama or fuss. So I had to learn the thing that I teach my clients, which is progress over perfection. And I stopped trying to be perfect all the time and I aimed for good enough. I follow my plan 80 to 90% of the time, but then I give myself some grace the other 20%. I eat protein and vegetables for most meals, but I also have dessert when I want it. I hit at least 4 to 5 workouts per week, but if I only get 3 in, I don't sweat it. I just pick it up and life goes on. It's way better than none. The goal isn't perfection, it's consistency over time. And consistency doesn't mean perfect. It just means showing up even when it's messy, even when it's not ideal, even when you have 30 minutes instead of 60. Because once you let go of the perfection, weight loss actually gets easier. And it got a lot easier for me because I wasn't constantly starting over. I was just continuing. Even on the bad days, I would just pick up and move on. Thing number 5 is I stopped doing cardio for weight loss. And I know this sounds crazy, but maybe less so these days because I feel like it gets talked about more. But we've been told most of our lives that cardio is the way that you lose weight. But here's what actually happened. I was hyper fixated on HIIT workouts and burning more calories. I thought if I did more cardio and I would burn more calories, then I would lose more weight. And yes, it did improve my fitness and my cardiovascular health. But here's the problem. I was always so much hungrier. I'd do this intense HIIT session, burn several hundred calories, and then be completely ravenous and eat like 600 calories more than usual. I was working my butt off, but I was constantly fighting hunger. And cardio doesn't build muscle. Muscle is what keeps your metabolism higher 24/7, even when you're sleeping, when you're sitting on the couch, and all the other things. I was burning calories in the moment, but not building the metabolic engine that burns the calories around the clock. So I completely reframed the cardio in my mind. Cardio isn't for weight loss. Cardio is for longevity, for your heart health, for feeling good. I still do it, but now I do a couple of days per week, some walking or some moderate cardio because I want a healthy heart and I do want to live longer. And that's it. My priority has become the strength training multiple days per week and lifting heavy, primarily with Caroline, but lots of people these days. Because building muscle burns the calories 24/7, even at rest. And guess what? I lost more fat while eating more food because I was building the metabolic engine. My body composition has completely changed, and I went from cardio exhausted to actually being strong. So if you're stuck in endless cardio and fighting hunger, then flip it. Do cardio for your heart and longevity, but prioritize the strength training for weight loss. Your metabolism and your appetite will thank you. So here's the mindset shift that ties it all together. And this is what actually made the difference for me. Is I stopped trying to lose weight like I was in my 20s. In my 20s, I could crash diet. I could do endless cardio. I could sleep 5 hours and my body would simply bounce back. But in my 30s, the same approach would make me gain weight, lose muscle, and feel exhausted. So I had to accept that my body is just different now. And that's not a bad thing. It just means I need a different strategy, one that's sustainable and not extreme. And once I made that shift, I stopped fighting my body and started supporting it. And that's when everything clicked. So these 5 things are not extreme. They're not overcomplicated, but they're what actually works as a busy mom over 30 trying to lose weight without losing your mind, especially if you're under 5 feet tall. And so if this resonated with you, I would love if you would subscribe and let me be your non-judgy mom friend who comes alongside you to help you reach your goals. And next time, I'll be sharing some more tips and tricks for you. In the meantime, if you want to know how I pick my favorite YouTube workouts, I will put that in the box for you here. And I'd love to know from you, which one of these hit home most for you. Until next time, bye friends.